excited. Welcome to Rock is Reality. Get ready for unfiltered and unapologetic culture, entertainment, relationships, and a little bit of politics on Motor City Woman Radio. Follow Rock is Reality on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. In the meantime, let's go. Okay, so of course Robin knows to cut me off because she knows I'll just keep talking. So welcome to everyone watching. I am here with Ritesh, Rajan, and Sujata Day from Definition Please. And if you all don't know, Google it. Definition Please is on Netflix. It is, it's just brilliant. That when I watched it, I was like, this is so fucking brilliant. I'm like, this is brilliant. So kudos to you both. But just a little background, Sujata is the writer, director, and also stars in it. She was also hating ass Sarah on Insecure. Like she was Sarah on Insecure. I was watching the clip. I was like, she at the We Got Y'all. I was like, she would be hating on Issa at the beach and just the different activities. But you were funny, of course, and also in Misadventures, Awkward Black Girl. And so Ritesh is also starring in Definition Please. You all play sister and brother.
Yep.
Monica and Sonny, or Boona and Baba. I was loving the little
Booney and Dada.
Booney and Dada. Okay, because Baba is dad.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yes.
Right. So and then also you all made up to Ritesh in Station 19 a couple weeks ago, which is one of my favorite. I missed the episode, Ritesh. So right quick, what role did you play in the season?
I play a social worker who's a crisis responder that responds to a sort of domestic violence dispute over a child. I don't want to give away anything.
Okay.
You guys.
Okay.
Check it out.
Is that a reoccurring role? Are you going to be back?
I don't know. As of now, I was told it wasn't, but things can change. If everyone tunes in, maybe they'll bring me back.
Okay. And then you also play in Russian Doll and Jungle Book.
Yep.
And Star Wars Rebels, which is one of my husband's favorites. Yep. So you guys have people, if you all haven't seen them by now, make sure you check them out. But main reason we're here is because of Definition Please. Again, it's on Netflix, has won like a ton of awards. I was looking through all the awards, like scrolling, like just kept going, like, okay. And one of the biggest things is that you've connected with the Ava DuVernay of Array.
Yeah.
So just talk about that, because like Ava is just she is just like an icon, a paragon when it comes to storytelling, especially for people of color. And I just love how she's not just making a voice, because Queen Sugar is like one of my favorites ever. And just all her stuff that she's done, 13th, and just everything she's done. I just love how she's such just an intricate storyteller and the nuances. So how did that come about? And congrats to you for what was that like when she emailed and called you and was like, hey, I want to acquire your movie?
Yeah, so we've known of each other and have been friendly since Awkward Black Girl days, when everyone was coming up together, and we followed each other on social media so we could really see what each other was doing. And obviously she became such a huge inspiration in terms of representation in Hollywood, just hiring all female directors for Queen Sugar. And then her Array initiative is really special because it gives smaller films by people of color the opportunity to be seen on a larger scale. And that's not usually possible, you know, in this day and age. Hollywood is still not giving us the attention that we need. And so we, you know, we'd been following each other. I did the virtual film festival circuit with Definition Please in 2020 and 2021. And then we finally got to have our live Los Angeles premiere in September of 2021. And I went ahead and invited her, and I invited Tulane from Array and able to make it. But about a month later, Tulane reached out to me and asked if the film was still for sale. And I said, yes. And they let us know that their film deal is directly to Netflix, which was perfect for us. So it's really a dream to be, you know, supported by someone like Ava DuVernay, who we have looked up to for so long. And she's making so many changes in the industry, both in front of the camera and behind the camera, that it was a really special, perfect home for Definition Please.
Absolutely. I love it. And then Ritesh, you're one of the producers and you play Sonny, Monica's brother. So, and I was reading that you were saying that at the time that Sujata approached you about being her brother, you were looking for meteor roles. You were looking for, you know, something where you could really show your acting skills. So what was that like for you to know that Ava's tapped on and like, this is official now, like this is official, right?
Yeah, the whole experience is kind of surreal because, you know, everything from start to finish, even from making the movie, was just like, it was a blur. You know, you feel like you never have enough time, you never have enough money, and you get kind of stuck in this vacuum. Like, is the movie good? Is the movie not? We're trying to get people to watch it. And then finally someone gives you recognition that is incredible and supportive and has, you know, amazing taste. And it kind of just validates the effort that you made. Like, oh, okay, you know, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was, or, you know, it was really great. Because we, as artists, we don't really know what people are going to expect until we put it in front of them. And that's the gamble we take. So, you know, I think as long as we put our heart and soul out there, people will respond positively to that. And that's kind of the experience that we had.
Absolutely. Because when I first saw the trailer, I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I cannot wait to watch this. And just a little background, my mom is a nurse. So I grew up with, and you know, in the medical profession, there are a lot of people of South Asian descent. So we grew up around people of South Asian descent. So I was always just curious about the culture. And as I told Sujata, I went to Michigan. So I was around a lot of students who were stoners. And I would be upset because I'm studying all damn night. And they would study for like 2 hours and get high and then bust an A. And I'm like, but it's just an amazing work ethic that I noticed culturally. That's what I noticed, the differences. It's just like an amazing work ethic. And I always admired that. So right quick, give us people a snapshot of Definition Please, what the movie is about.
Yeah, Definition Please is about a young woman who, when she was a kid, she won the National Spelling Bee, and now she's grown up and she hasn't achieved what she was meant to achieve in her life. She's stuck in a place of arrested development. She's home. She's taking care of her mom. And then her brother, Sonny, comes home to, you know, shake things up in the household, and they're estranged from each other and they're just figuring things out like any other family.
And I really appreciate. Did you want to add to that, Ritesh?
No, I think she did it perfectly. She's a pro. I can't, you know, outsell a movie to the creator.
So, by the way, shout out to LeVar Burton, who tonight, I think he's hosting something for the Spelling Bee, these scripts.
Oh, is it tonight?
Yeah, it's like the Road to the Bee or something. It's happening tonight. And then the actual finals is June.
And he's also hosting the Bee this year. Yeah.
I love it. So, yeah, and they're doing something tonight too, some like little 1 hour special. But I love how and you all have a show together, or that he narrates, that you.
Yes. It's called This Is My Story, and we recorded it for YouTube. It's these very short, you know, under 5-minute stories from a group of our friends, and we all got together, and it's just chronicles everyday racism that people face. And you know, it's not like the serious things that you see in the news all the time. It's just, you know, subconscious racism. It's, you know,
little microaggressions.
yes, it's microaggressions.
Yeah.
It's interactions with law enforcement. It's a lot of that kind of theme. And I was really honored that LeVar came to me with that idea. And it was really special to shoot that series.
I love that. So speaking of going back to racism and like bias and classism, I love how you all portrayed that in Definition Please. So let's just educate people a little bit who are not aware. What is Bengali culture? Is that like a certain part of India? Is that a certain, let's educate people a little bit.
Yeah, so my parents are from Calcutta, and so people from Calcutta speak Bengali. A lot of the different Indians are kind of separated by regions, and we all speak different dialects and languages. And so Bengali culture, I like to say we're the artistic snobs of India.
Oh,
We are considered the artists, the filmmakers, the poets, the writers.
okay.
And Tesh here, he's South Indian, and so we all also have our own different foods. So Bengalis do eat meat. We do eat chicken and fish and goat and lamb. And so I grew up eating that. That's what my mom cooked. And with Tesh, he's South Indian. He can speak more on being South Indian.
Yeah, you know, South Indian culture is definitely more vegetarian forward. I grew up kind of with mixed cultures in my house in terms of the different regions of India. So we ate everything. But definitely when I was reading the script, there was so many sort of Bengali customs or words that I, you know, didn't know because that wasn't the language that we spoke growing up. My dad is from Chennai, so we spoke Tamil growing up. And so I'd ask Suj like, yo, what is this word? Or, oh, this is what we would call this. And they're like, oh, this is the same thing as this. And, you know, we have those discussions. And even for us as Indian Americans, you know, we have things that we can discover about each other. And it was so cool to kind of jump into that culture as well.
I love that. So is Calcutta is in the northern region, and then
yes,
it's in the
northeast, right next to the ocean. So that's why we eat a lot of fish.
I love that. And I love how you all purposely put different elements and different foods and different sayings into the movie. And I also love how you were flashing the words at times, some of the words to describe. She was having like those Ally McBeal moments.
Yes, yes. You described it as that. That's a good comparison, actually.
I mean, it just reminded, I don't know if you watched Ally McBeal, like people who are from the 90s know we you know, those of us who were watching TV back then, it just reminded me of those Ally McBeal moments. So just really brilliant. But something that I also appreciated, well, let me ask this. Some of it does mimic because they're from Greenburgh, Pennsylvania, which is where you're from as well, Sujata. So it's a lot of things mimicking. How much of your real lives, in both of you, this is a question for both of you, how much of your real lives is mimicked and reflected in Definition Please?
So I like to say it's not an autobiographical story, but it's a very personal story. So I really took each of the characters are based on many people in my life that I grew up with. And I am from Greensburg, which is a very non-diverse small town. But luckily we grew up about 30 minutes away from two Hindu temples, a South Indian temple and a North Indian temple. And so I grew up with a bunch of Indian American friends. And as we were going through middle school and high school, I noticed that we were all achieving on high levels, and that, you know, we'd be taking 10 AP classes or getting the best SAT scores or going to apply to all the Ivy League schools. And I noticed that a lot of us were suffering from depression, anxiety, paranoia, even more seriously bipolar, schizophrenia. This was all happening, and our parents didn't really know how to handle it, or they didn't know how to talk about it. It was considered shameful.
Yeah.
So I did pull a lot of that story from these people that I grew up with, and even I went to very science, tech, engineering college, and I noticed that even on a larger scale, this wasn't just affecting South Asian Americans. It was affecting Asian Americans as a whole, and it would lead to tragedies like suicide in my college. And I noticed that this was just something that needed to be placed on screen and talked about, so that we can just open up communication within our culture, within our families about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what about you, Ritesh? How much did you pull from your real life?
Because
can we reveal that Sonny is that he suffers with bipolar?
Yeah,
and that's a real struggle. Like, as I saw him struggling, I was like, oh my gosh, this looks, because I'm by trade, I'm a social worker, so I've worked with people who have mental health, and that was really a struggle. And I have to say right quick, it was a lot of parallels between your culture and Black culture as well. The shame that comes with mental health, not wanting to take the medications, moms trying to pacify us through it instead of getting us treatment. So yeah, how much of a parallel was it for you?
So, for me, I'm approaching it kind of from a very character sort of angle. So, the things that I related to was growing up in a small town. I'm from a small town outside of Bronx, New York. I'm from Putnam County. And, a lot of that energy and sort of the way that Sujata was raised, I kind of had a very similar upbringing where my friends, or where I grew up, wasn't very diverse. It was just kind of Irish, Catholic, Italians, not too many Indians, not too many any other sort of cultures, and so that kind of idea of growing up and mental health not being spoken about just kind of as a culture, I saw a lot of that. I was a Black sheep in terms of, I didn't want to go to medical school. I went to school for acting. So I was like one of the very few South Asians that was like, yo, I'm going to school for the arts. And so I saw a lot of people struggle with these decisions of, hey, I don't want to do this. And that causes stress, and that goes to depression, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And, being able to tell a story about mental health specifically within the South Asian space resonated a lot with me, because I feel like it was a topic that was never discussed. And as we move forward and sort of the first generation are becoming adults and they're starting to raise their own kids and stuff, I think it's a topic that we need to start exploring and having those hard conversations, because it's only going to help us grow together as a culture,
Absolutely. And it's really a tug of war between respecting your elders, respecting the heritage, but also knowing that some of those old customs don't serve who we are now. And and like I said, I identify with that as a Black woman. A lot of times we have a lot of those same pressures. You're expected to go to school and get your education. And you're right. A lot of the kids who I went to college with, they were headed to medical school or engineering. It was one of those two. Yeah. So, and I remember in one of your other interviews, you were saying that you were kind of like clowned because you weren't becoming a doctor. You chose the arts.
Yeah, both my parents are doctors. My dad is one of 8. 6 of his siblings are doctors. All their spouses are doctors.
Wow. So you're for real the Black sheep. So let me ask, how does that contribute to the model minority myth? That we are, that we have to have this certain level.
Yeah,
it's like kind of like it's a mixture of our cultural.
My family in particular is really unique. I have an older brother and a younger sister. We're all in the arts. I have a lot of cousins that are in the arts too. So I've been, blessed to have a really sort of really open communication with my parents, and very supportive of kind of the choices that I made. I mean, they definitely made sure that I was working my ass off. And so that was the thing, the work ethic that you were describing earlier, that never changed. So if it was like, hey, I was going to be an actor, I had to work twice as hard if I was like going to go be a doctor, right? Because that maybe would have been an easier path. But I knew that. And that's kind of what my parents expected of me. And it was something that I felt like I owed my parents. They made so much sacrifice for me coming here and giving us a better life, that the least I could do was make an honest shot at what I love doing, you know, and that means like, no, just 100, putting your head down, 200% work and not looking back.
Absolutely. So Sujata, as far as I wanted you to add, as far as your thoughts on the model minority myth, like, because in the Black community, we are taught you have to be 100 times better in order to achieve and get the accolades of a white person in the same space. And so is that something that you all struggle with as well? Is that something that you feel contributes to that model myth? That model minority myth?
Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword, because we say, oh, like South Asians are doctors, engineers, lawyers, they're working on Wall Street. But then if kids do want to pursue a different path, then they're ostracized, or they are kicked out of their house, or, you know, or something like that, which is like not helpful. And it's not helpful in terms of, you know, breaking bread with other people as well. You know, we are definitely in something that's happening is that I'm getting a lot of scripts to be a potential director for, and the stories and of these characters are very stereotypical and following this model minority path, which is not something that, you know, like Tesh's parents, my parents were very similar in that they were very supportive of me in the arts. And I'm really tired of seeing these similar stories where the parents are controlling in some way of the direction that their kids want to go, or telling these kids who to marry and stuff. And like, they're becoming these, you know, these arranged marriage storylines that don't line up with what Tesh and I have experienced in our with our families and along our paths. So I think there's just a few things, a lot of things just wrong with, you know, putting us in this box of like, oh, we are the model minorities and we have to act a certain way and we have to do things a certain way. I think it hurts all of us in the end.
Okay, because that is so true. Like that is a stereotype that I've come to believe as well, that someone from South Asian culture, the marriage is arranged. That's just something that you're thinking. Let's talk about some of the myths that need to be dispelled. Let's talk about it. That's
number one.
Okay, let's talk about them, because I like how, like I said, I like how you all put some elements in definition, please, to dispel that. I was looking at that like, oh yeah, that's something that I've thought myself. So what are some things? So the controlling parents who arrange marriages, that's a myth. What's another one that you find?
I think that we're all doctors, engineers, lawyers, tech folks working in Silicon Valley, finance people working on Wall Street. And once again, these aren't negative labels, you know, so it's tough to speak on, because it's not a negative thing. It's just like, why does every single character have to be like this?
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
you know, it does exist, but just not to be not be inundated with it. It's overkill.
Yes, it's overkill. And the arranged marriage storyline is overkill, when, you know, Tesh and I have never dealt with that. Me and my Indian American friends growing up in Greensburg, none of the parents even talked about arranged marriage. Like maybe their generation, yes, but nothing was forced upon our generation. So I think it's really strange that Hollywood has kind of glommed on to this one storyline about us and has not let go of it.
Yeah. So is that part of what your role is as a HBO ambassador, Sujata? So let's get into that, because now I want to go into what else you all are doing. Well, first, let's watch the trailer to Definition, please, because then I want to move on to what else you guys are doing, because it's not just this. You're existing in multiple spaces. So, Robin, let's go ahead and watch the clip. I love the auntie who's like, Google it. That was love that auntie. We all have that auntie.
It was so great.
Like, get your shit together.
I am so proud to be able to invite the Scribs Spelling Bee champion, Monica Chowdhury, to our classroom.
That is correct.
Monica Chowdhury? You won the spelling bee. You're like a legit celebrity.
I guess.
You are both connected by a deep love for your mother. Join forces like Farhan and Zoya.
Farhan and Zora?
They are brother-sister Bollywood power duo.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, I've never heard of
Google it, you fools!
You can't just take care of people your whole life without taking care of yourself.
You're pathetic. You got nothing else to do than live at home in your mom's basement and be the little kids in your spare time.
I don't live in the basement. I'm on the second floor. I have my own bathroom. You know that. Why did you come back?
I was never good enough for you. Sonny protected you for so long. Maybe it's your turn to protect him.
We promised each other that we would get out of this boring ass town and do big things.
Ladies first.
I don't see any ladies. All I see is a badass bitch.
Okay.
I love it. So I want to dig a little deeper with Ritesh,
Yeah.
because I saw, and I love how Dada was so protective. I love how they showed that dynamic, how he was so protective of her, because a lot of times older siblings do bear that brunt of, when, and as you being the boy of the family too, probably you were disciplined harder. So talk about where you went to bring out those scenes, because I had chills when I was watching you. My heart just hurt at those times. I was like, oh my God, is that, when you are not, we all, like, as we get older, we reflect on some things that from childhood that should have been different. And now we're realizing that's why we're so jacked up. And I think that was like, he was having those moments and mom just didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah, when we were talking about the character and, the bipolar disorder that he struggles with, Suji and I, one of the most important things was we didn't want to sensationalize it.
Mhm.
And so we really honed in on what bipolar disorder would look like in this household,
Mhm.
If it was swept under the rug for, 10 years, 15 years, and then, couple that with the experiences of him growing up with his dad, getting disciplined, and then losing his father, and then what kind of stress that puts on the family, not only just as individuals, but as a kind of a family unit and the relationships that they have with each other. The mom is obviously babying Sonny. And then, so how does that affect her daughter? Right? Does she become conscientious about that? Does she get jealous about that? The stress it puts on the brother-sister relationship. And we really wanted to make sure that we were telling the most honest version of this story and what it meant to deal with a mental health issue in a sort of a close-knit South Asian family.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, because I could, it was, so yeah, I don't want to reveal it or spoil it, but it really hit home because I have an uncle who is paranoid schizophrenic, and just, when you don't know what to do or how to treat mental health, it's just like a lot of people have just languished in the wind a lot of times and being misdiagnosed or misunderstood. So I'm really glad that you all showed Sonny being the one struggling with that as well. So how did these roles stretch you all? How did they stretch you? Were there some moments you were like, oh, because you all were you were having to be expeditious with your filming. So how did, were there moments where like, shit, how am I going to pull this out? Like, how did it stretch you?
So as the writer, I made sure that my character wasn't going to be carrying the emotional burden of the film from an actor point of view, and that because I also knew I was going to be directing it, and that I would have to be there for my other actors in terms of, making sure it's a safe place for people to take risks and feel safe and you know, go where they needed to go in terms of the characters. So for me, when I was writing it, I wrote Monica in a way that she is really reacting to the things going on around her. And I was aware that I would be juggling all of these hats during the shoot. Also, like you mentioned, like a very, very short shoot of 10 to 12 days. There's we don't it's
You guys are doing like Tyler
Yeah, we
Perry.
don't remember. People don't remember anymore.
But yeah, so I was really, you know, I had to be, in terms of being a great director and making sure that my cast could pull it off. I was really lucky to have performers like Tesh and Anna Kaja, who played Jaya, who just came in as professionals and knew their lines and were very prepared to play these roles and go to these emotional places with 1 or 2 takes.
Right. Right. Because when he flipped it, I mean, it was like they were good. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit. Wow. He flipped it real quick. He went from sunny to gloomy real quick.
Yeah.
Damn,
So,
come on.
and he just didn't have a lot of time to do that.
Acting your ass off, Ritesh. Acting your ass off. You did really well in that role. I was like, wow.
You know, I got lucky. Suj, I knew we weren't going to have too much time, so I made sure that I did a lot of research. The one great thing about being South Asian is you have a lot of South Asian friends who are doctors. So, along with my parents. So I had access to a lot of just sort of reading material. I got to talk to patients. I got to talk to friends who kind of struggle with mental health. And so I had a really good sort of insight of where we wanted to go. But honestly, I was so lucky to be taken care of by Suj and Anna. And kind of in hindsight, you know, Anna's played my mom before. She was my mom on a TV show called Stitchers. And so it made it so easy for me to just get there really quick with her because I just felt comfortable. I could be vulnerable in front of the two of them. And we shot in Sujata's childhood home. So that also helped immensely. So like, you know, when in the trailer we're at the fridge, that's her fridge with like sometimes they're real diplomas. And I'm like, I'm like, you sure I can just rip everything out?
Right, look,
go for it.
Right, go for authenticity's sake.
So, you know, the environment was really optimal for me to just get in there, do my stuff, just shoot for the stars. And if it was too much, Suj would reel me back. Okay.
So what do you guys, let's get into what do you guys have next? Because I was going back to Sujata as far as being an HBO ambassador. What does that mean? And what do you got cooking up for that?
So something that's awesome about it's the Hbo Apa Visionaries Ambassador. So it's great to chat about this during Asian American Heritage Month. And something awesome that HBO does is every year, this is in conjunction with the LA Asian Pacific Film Festival, who have been so supportive of me and my film since 2016 when they premiered my short film Cowboy and Indian right back here. And they have a contest for short filmmakers who can submit a film based on a certain theme that they pick for the year. And these short films are judged by, you know, like 20, 25 people in the HBO community. And 3 of the finalists get to premiere their films on HBO Max, which is really special, especially for a short filmmaker to have that, once again, that platform, that big platform where other people can watch your work and you can just say, oh, my short's playing on HBO Max, go watch it. So it's a really special, awesome program that I'm really honored to be a part of. And Tesh and I just went to a celebration for this year's Visionaries, and we got to celebrate the 3 new short films that are playing on HBO Max right now.
I love it. I love it. So what do you want audiences to walk away with when they watch Definition Please?
I would like audiences to relate our characters on a human level, and that's what I'm trying to do, where the story happens to be about a South Asian American family, but it could really be about any family in small town America. And so that's what's exciting to me, is that even though I'm from a small town in Greensburg, my friends that I grew up with, they were saying, "Oh my gosh, that's like my life," and they're not Indian, and so I'm really enjoying getting these DMs and emails and messages from folks who might not be South Asian, and they really connect to the issues that we're going through in the film, as far as family drama and mental health. And that's really exciting to me, to kind of appeal to a larger demographic, and they see themselves in our characters, even though we may not look the same.
Yes, I definitely saw myself in the characters as well, as far as like feeling like you're not achieving at a certain level, and just just that struggle with the obligation to your family and your own decisions. So so what about you, Ritesh? What would you like?
I think on the broader conversation, it's very similar to what Sujata said in terms of kind of people relating to the characters. But I think on a different note, for me specifically, it's about talking about mental health, and it's not something to be viewed as shameful. I think in a lot of cultures, particularly cultures, people of color, it's because it's not tangible, because you can't just take some Advil and it's like all good. It's totally just unspoken. And I think that sort of trauma just travels generation from generation to generation. And so if we can have this conversation just to end it, or at least work towards progress, I think it'll behoove the entire generation and just culture and just all of our friends in our community to just alleviate an issue that I think can be alleviated just by starting a discussion. So, I think that's why people make art, to kind of just start these discussions, that we kind of disguise it. We put the cheese on the broccoli.
I love it. So what are you, speaking of disguise, and what are you guys doing next? Like, what are the next roles coming up? Can we get some little exclusives of what might be next for both of you? I know Russian Doll season 2 just premiered on Netflix last month. So
Russian Doll a couple weeks ago. I had an episode of Station 19 come out last week. I'm the voice of Ken for Barbie and Ken.
That is so ironic to me that he is the whitest man, and he's the whitest man in America.
I just say Ken's
we can clap for that. I love it.
He's the first Asian Ken.
I love it.
We had a series drop last month called It Takes Two, also on Netflix, and they introduced Black Barbie from her name's Brooklyn, because she's from Brooklyn. So then Barbie becomes Malibu. She's from Malibu. So check it out. Yeah.
Is she gonna have a black Ken, a black boo, or what?
We'll see.
See.
Someone's gonna show.
Can we get Tyrone on there? Brooklyn Tyrone, like, seriously. I love that. I thought that was so ironic. I was like, he's South Asian and he's Ken, who is like who's like blonde, and like, this is so hilarious.
I'm pretty good.
I love that. I love that. And by the way, a lot of my friends were in my inbox like, he is so fine. Is he, by the way, single, Ritesh? I've got to ask for the ladies who are in my inbox.
I am seeing somebody right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I love that you brought that up, that Tesh is very sexy, because that's another stereotype that I was very intentional of in my casting for the film, especially with Jake Choi as my love interest.
And shout out to him. He's from Detroit. Richie. Shout out to Richie.
Oh, is he from Detroit? I didn't know that.
I mean, the character.
Yes.
The character. Richie said he was from Detroit. When he was leaving, and he's like, "Are you headed back to Detroit?" So I'm like, "Oh, he's from Detroit." I'm from Detroit, by the way. So
yes. Well, I figured that because you said Motor City. So yeah,
right.
But yeah, and so I really wanted to showcase, the sexiness of Asian men, because that hasn't really been done in Hollywood. And so that was also exciting for me to just write these roles for these people that are in my life that are friends and that are cool and that don't necessarily get to play these fun romantic roles.
Yeah, the doctor was hot too. Your mom's doctor.
Yeah.
I love how you
Tim too. We love him.
Tim.
I love that.
Tim's from Greensburg too, right?
No, he's from Monroeville, which is where the Patel brothers was the Indian grocery store that we had our scene.
Oh, yeah. So that was an actual store you were in.
Oh yeah, we didn't have the budget to like make a store look like that.
That is just come here for like 3-4 hours. I love that. So for you, Sujata, what's next? What's coming up next? Are you and Issa reconnecting at some point? I'm sorry I called you hating ass Sarah. It was just that clip.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You know,
you would just be like throwing that shade. I'm like, Sarah is throwing shade at you. This is hilarious. The way your tone would just be like, so you're just gonna okay. Just it was hilarious. So what's coming up next for you?
Yeah, so I did a lot of writing over the pandemic. I wrote 2 pilots. I wrote a feature. So getting the feature off the ground, pitching the shows and the pilots to different studios, networks, and streamers, and we'll see what happens. I'm just really excited to keep pushing the conversation forward in terms of Asian American representation in Hollywood, because I think there's a lot of lines being blurred in terms of a content out of actual Asia and India being representative of us when it's not. So the Asian American within our tribe, that's like very important to put on screen because we don't see it very much.
Okay, so talk about that a little bit, how the distinction between the Bollywood flicks and the Asian American flicks. Like, has some of your Asian American friends been like, why are you doing it this way? You should do it Bollywood style. Or have you gotten any pushback or what's up?
I haven't gotten much pushback. Going back to me being Bengali is that I actually didn't grow up so much with Bollywood films. I grew up with Bengali films and Bengali television. And so Satyajit Ray, who is a very accomplished filmmaker, and his films are in the Criterion Network. And I grew up watching those films. And so once again, it's more of the indie filmmaking vibe that Bengali filmmakers are drawn to, as opposed to, big budget Bollywood stories. So it is, when you say that people are pushing me towards telling these type of stories, no one's really pushing me to do that, because I don't think I've ever done that in my work before. So I'm lucky in that sense, for sure.
Okay. Absolutely. So what would you guys be doing if you weren't actors, if you weren't creatives?
Oh man, I try to choose something that's like not artistic, but everything brings me something to the arts. I would have been a doctor, probably. That's a boring answer, but really, I think I would have been a dancer in another life, or like I would have done something with martial arts.
Oh, okay, because Sonny was into fitness, even though he hated yoga. Okay.
Yeah, I used to teach dance before acting took off, so like dance has always been a big part of my life. It's like it's a hobby. So.
Oh, okay. Fun fact.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about you, Sujata?
I think I would have been just like a writer, like a novelist, someone, perhaps a journalist, someone who writes articles. I grew up reading a lot of books. I wasn't very social. I was very shy. And so I would always be the Indian girl at the Indian party reading books in the corner. And I think I would have probably wrote books.
Okay. So since you're a storyteller, now you can make up something. We're going to play a little game as we close out.
All right. You love games.
Yes. I'm like, we've got to have fun. We've got to play some games. So first, tell people where to follow you before we forget that, because we'll probably play the game and forget. So tell people where they can follow you online.
Okay, so I'm at Sujata Day, Sujataday on Twitter, Instagram. And then we also have Definition Please socials. So please follow Definition Please for the latest news. It's at Definition Please on Instagram, and on Twitter, it's at DEFN Please.
And you can follow me at Tesh, Tesh, Rajan, Rajan, and that's for all of them.
Right. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. I
Yeah.
love that. And I wanted to say also, Sujata, I love how your company, it's like your name spelled backwards.
Yeah, I was inspired by Oprah Harpo.
I remember seeing the movie for the first time and that coming up and like reading it. How to just
Well, yeah, how does
that's so Sujata.
I say
I have no idea.
Added juice, yeah. Added juice. Okay. So the game we're gonna play is called Marry, Fuck, Kill. Okay.
Okay.
So pick a person that you would marry. This is just all hypothetical. This is just for shits and giggles. No one get upset or get offended. Disclaimer. Okay. So Ritesh's boo, don't get upset, please. This is just games. Hypothetical. So pick a person that you would marry, pick a person that you would fuck, and pick a person that you would kill. This could be a real person, or this could be.
You have to give us our choices.
Give us the options.
No, I'm gonna. I know you can make up your own.
No, that's not how you play the game.
This is a different twist to it. This is a different twist to it because
this sounds like a trap to me.
No, it's the different. You totally can use your imagination. So listen, so what I will do is, and someone said that you're supposed to give us to people. I'm like, no, I want you to pick them to just kind of tease your brain a little bit. So I'll give you my 3 people. Okay, that's what I'll do. These are my 3 people. So I would marry Jack from This Is Us. Do you all watch This Is Us? No.
Okay. I know who you're talking about.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
Milo Video. Oh, I'm gonna butcher his last name.
Ventimiglia.
Thank you. But he's like he's like the best husband ever in TV history, pretty much ever. Okay, I would fuck Jason Momoa. He's a major celebrity crush. My hubby knows I love him. We've been married almost 20 years. And I would kill George Zimmerman for obvious reasons.
Okay.
So.
Wow. See, this is tough because you're not giving us choices and the game is played with choices.
If you give us choices, I think we could answer this very easily.
Okay.
The open-ended makes it tough because I could sit here and think about everyone that I want to kill.
Right, I was sitting there like, it's a lot of people who have pissed me off.
Okay. Who was the bully in 3rd grade?
Right. I was like thinking of all these people who had upset me. Okay. So, for Sujata, who can I think of?
But that's the beauty of the game is you pick 3 people that are all on the same level, and then I have to be like, oh, who am I gonna kill? Do you know what I'm saying?
So let's do this. Okay, so Brad Pitt, Chris Hemsworth, who is Thor.
This is tough.
This is good.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
I like it. Who's the third one?
Okay, and I'm trying to think of a third hot guy. Michael B. Jordan.
Oh shit.
No. See? Okay, I'm about to get you to Ritesh. So we're gonna go to Sujata first. Ladies first. So Brad Pitt, Chris Hemsworth, and Michael B. Jordan.
MBJ. Okay. I'm going to have to kill Brad Pitt.
Oh gosh. Oh, dang it.
Wow.
He's still sexy. He's a little older. I mean,
I'm gonna marry Michael B. Jordan and I'm going to F Chris Hemsworth.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So Ritesh, let me see. Let me think of some hot, gorgeous women. Okay, Charlize Theron, Gisele Bündchen, Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you know, I'm already
yeah.
like, ah, shit.
Yeah, this is good. Rocky, you're doing it. You're doing it.
Okay, Giselle Bundchen and who did I say first?
Charlize.
Charlize Theron.
Giselle is
And
married to Tom Brady. Am I making that up?
Yes,
Yes.
Giselle is
Yes.
married to Tom Brady.
Yes. And Halle Berry.
Ooh, this
Like
is
she's like all
Right,
time, right?
I'm going to marry Halle Berry. I'm gonna have a good time with Charlize, and I'm gonna have to take out Brady,
Giselle.
apparently.
Giselle. Well, she'll be good because she has
I'm
time.
not like, yeah, I'm also, it was easy for me because I have a crush on Halle Berry. So that was like,
of course, everyone does.
And I think
But
Charlize
I thought
is
she
like
was
a great
married.
actress. So like I have
Okay.
an actress crush on her.
Okay.
And I'm from New York, so fuck Tom Brady.
Ooh, right. Pew, pew, shots fired. Okay,
No.
so
He's gonna tweet at me now.
You said what? Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. So yeah, so that would be, and I have like several other people that could be on that list. So yeah, I appreciate you guys coming. Please, everyone, make sure you watch Definition. Please check it out. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's next from you all. You said, Ritesh, you've got Barbie's coming out. Russian Doll is out.
Oh yeah, Barbie actually is already out. It's called It Takes Two. It's on Netflix. So be sure.
So this is like animated?
Yeah, it's animated. Yeah, it's animated. This is the first.
Is it appropriate for kids? Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
watch it with kids. There's stuff in there for the jokes for the adults as well, but it's a kid show. So family friendly.
Okay, all right. Okay, because I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like trying to envision this. So I love it. Okay. Well, thank you all again for coming on Rocky's Reality. I really appreciate you all. And I look forward. Sujata, please keep in touch with me. I have to say that I was bummed when Parade was like, no, but I was like, wait a minute. Maybe she can come on my podcast. So this worked out. So I appreciated that you weren't all hoity-toity, like, no, I'm not going to do that. And that's what I appreciate. I think a lot of times that people miss, like, you've got to make room for the small outlets as well. Like everyone wants to be on Entertainment Tonight and the big rah-rah, but especially as an indie filmmaker, you understand how you've got to give the independents a chance. So I really appreciate that. And I don't know if you all had any last words you want to leave with.
I don't think so. I think just, we really need all of our stories to be told. So if you're a creator, if you're a filmmaker, even if you make TikTok videos or Instagram live videos, like that's all creating and changing the narrative of who we are on screen. And it's all very important. It all adds up. So the more of us telling these stories and putting them out there, the better.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's how I believe as a writer as well, always trying to find the stories that aren't being told. So any last things you want to add, Ritesh?
Just, I hope everyone checks out the movie. I hope you enjoy it. It was a labor of love, and it's something that is near and dear to all of us. So enjoy. All
right. Okay. Well, thank you guys again. Enjoy the rest of the week and enjoy the holiday. I don't know if you celebrate Memorial Day or not, but enjoy the holiday, and we will see you soon. I will definitely be in touch and be following you guys, and same likewise.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Rocky.
You're welcome. Take care. Have a good
night. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.